皆さんこんにちは and welcome to Shogo's podcast. So guys, if I sound like I'm very sleepy, I just woke up actually. I'm in the oxygen room again and I usually am in the oxygen for about 2 hours and I usually work for the first hour and I sleep for another hour as well. If I sleep, I take deeper breaths so it's absolutely better. It's more, what should I say? Efficient that I sleep and try to take in all the oxygen that's inside the room. Of course, this is an oxygen chamber, so yeah. But anyways, it's not like I'm feeling a little bit sick or down or anything. It's just that I just woke up a minute ago. Yeah. So the story that I want to talk to you guys today is again not something that's related to Asayama. More specifically, is something related to Seki Sensei and his sensei Osaki Sensei. Now, once I made a podcast talking about, this is the first time crying while recording a podcast, but that was the story of Osaki Sensei and Seki Sensei. Basically, just in case you don't know, Osaki Sensei is the predecessor of Asayama Ichiden, the Kobudo Ryuha that I work together with right now, which I'm training in right now. And also, of course, he was Seki Sensei, the headmaster today, the 22nd headmaster's instructor as well for about 20 years. Now, when we were filming the videos in Ibaraki, the main dojo, when we were filming the videos where we introduced the techniques of how to fight with the tsuka handle and also the saya sheath. Right now, I'm editing the video right now of how to fight with the saya sheath. And there's actually a lot of really cool techniques where you can fight with and defend using the saya scabbard. But one of the things that we often get in the comments is because the Kobudo Ryuha, because it's a little bit more practical compared to the modern Budo, like Iaido and such, there is a lot of kata and techniques where the Iaido, the training katana, make contact with other training katana, basically, where they clash each other, So if you take a look at new video that's going to be coming out, or if you've taken a look at some of the videos on the Japanese channel, Seki Sensei's katana is actually very heavily damaged. I think I talked about this once in a podcast before too, before I started working with him, that I was very shocked when I saw his katana because it was really heavily damaged. It was a lot of scars, was a lot of dents, and the blade, of course, not just the scabbard, but the blade is all broken as well. It's like more like a chainsaw because it's not a chainsaw, it's more like a saw because it's just so heavily damaged. And I said I was really shocked because just simply I didn't have the experience of training in a martial art where you actually make such contact on using the katana, But in that podcast too, explained that Seki Sensei has been using that katana for 25 years. 25 years. So although he's been using it with, rigorously in his training, with a lot of, hard training as well, clashing the sword against each other, defending against slash and all that kind of stuff, he does take very good care of it. And by the way, I'm going to be making a YouTube shorts about this story too, but the katana, the 25-year-long Iaido that Seki Sensei has been using, was actually a gift that was given from Osaki Sensei. Now, this I did not know about, so I was very surprised. And it was also very touching. It's an important teaching from Osaki Sensei that Seki Sensei still believes in right now, is that his teaching was that your training tools, use them without hesitation, basically. Don't hold anything back when you train. If you're going to be, swinging a katana to train in the kata, you need to do it seriously, obviously. You can't just do it softer and gently, just because you don't want to hurt your katana. You need to use it to its fullest. However, as you use your katana, your weapons, your training gear, everything, your training tools to its fullest, at the same time, take care of it to the fullest too. And love it, and try to fix it, try to use it as long as possible, was Osaki Sensei's teaching. So Seki Sensei has been doing that. He's been fixing his blade, this scabbard, as many times as possible. And no matter how many times it breaks, he has been fixing it and been using for 25 years. And there's still a lot of people who are in the comments telling us that no, the katana is the soul of samurai. No, you shouldn't handle your katana like that, and so on and so forth. And when we were talking about that, Seki Sensei told me another episode of Osaki Sensei and Seki Sensei that I just personally really love listening to. So finally, after 5 minutes, this is going to be the main part of the story today. Seki Sensei and Osaki Sensei often trained outside, like in the mountains, like at a shrine, because that would be where samurai would actually fight. So Seki Sensei explained to me that when he was training, he hardly remembers training within a dojo, like with a proper flooring, with a ceiling. He would often train like in the mud, when it's raining, when it's super super green, hot or super cold. And one time, Osaki Sensei noticed that Seki Sensei brought a new Iaido, a brand new one, to the training in the mountains. And then Osaki Sensei, because he saw Seki Sensei bring such a brand new katana, what he did was he used a technique where the opponent has to let go of the katana and it just goes flying away. Yes, there's actually a technique where you can use your katana to basically, blast your katana out of the opponent's hand. It goes just flying away from you. It's a lock on the wrist, and you're forced by your opponent to throw the katana away. But Osaki Sensei used that technique on Seki Sensei, and when it was a day where it just rained yesterday and there's a lot of mud on the ground, Seki Sensei blew away Seki Sensei's new katana, and the tsuka handle went straight into the mud. The tsuka handle went straight into mud, and that is a sound of the oxygen room closing up. But and Seki Sensei went and picked up his katana, of course, and he was like, "Oh no, my new katana got so much dirt on the handle," and his face was like that, and he was trying to get the mud off of the handle. And then Osaki Sensei said, "If you don't like this, go home. If you don't like this, just go home. What do you think you're doing right now?" is what he said to him. And of course, Osaki Sensei was this strict because he was teaching Seki Sensei. And of course, from around that timing, he knew that the next predecessor is going to be Seki Sensei. Maybe probably the first day he met him, possibly there could be a chance. Yeah, or at least in the first few years, Osaki Sensei probably knew that Seki Sensei is going to be the next predecessor. Yeah, he felt it was destiny, So that's what he told him. Go home if you don't like it. What do you think you're doing right now? And I don't know, it probably depends on who listens to this, but I personally really like this story because it's a Kobudo. It's a martial art that people use to survive. It was a life or death situation. Keeping your katana perfectly beautiful and clean, and what does that mean? That means you haven't been training. That just simply means you don't have the skills to use your katana, simply. That does not mean that you've been using your katana properly or, carefully. What Seki Sensei is doing now, using his katana for 25 years, even though he trains in the skills of Asayama Shinryu, is the true way you should be handling your weapon. You're training as much as possible, very, very hard, but still carrying your tools as if they're partners, as if they're a family, basically. 25 years is amazing. I'm 28 years old right now. So just when I was 3, Seki Sensei got that Iaido. And ever since he's been using the same one. That is the only Iaido that he owns for his training. It's just really, really amazing. Yeah. And of course, by the way, Seki Sensei does a lot of the other ryuha too, right? Like Shinrin-ryu, and also does the All Japan Kendo Federation Seitei and such, but he uses a real katana already for that. So that's the reason why that's the only Iaido he has. But I just was really, really touched by this Osaki Sensei's story, and it really changed my mind too, of how we see the katana and how we handle it and such. And for you too, I hope it was really interesting to listen to. Thank you so much.